Uh-oh, it's parka time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, with the American flag shimmer. Hell yeah, dude. My American flag scarf. I went into work super early because I was like, wait, okay, one of these days coming up as the holidays come up, I work it in the morning, and it really is pretty random. It's a pretty random day, and it's just this 10:30 shift, and I think it's because of a close early. Because this is the first time in 27 years that the place I work at is going to close completely and totally for an entire day for Christmas Eve, I believe. I believe it's Christmas Eve. So I'm thinking that that's what it is. I'll be working until the early afternoon Christmas Eve. And then we'll shut the house down in the early afternoon. And oh yeah, people will be coming in for sure. And especially because we have Chinese food. Because I mean, what are you going to eat if you're Jewish? You know, you have to know that joke. That's always the clever thing from being from a multicultural place. So the Democrats from this point on, now it's starting to get interesting. Now the stories are coming out about that it's getting bad for the administration. That people don't know what to do about the relationships in the administration, the different power brokers that are not all working together. One of the most important things I was thinking about is how crazy everything is right now with our relationship with Russia. That our relationship with Russia just doesn't make any sense right now, and it's kind of fascinating. Sort of well in this way. Let me actually make it like kind of clarify. So you'll see what the White House says in press briefings about Russia. Then you'll see the actual, like, what the news puts out. So the Democratic Party, what they put out, and then beyond that, you'll then start to see the way that the various how Russia is behaving, and then how European news sources, and then comes out stuff like The Intercept, like the quasi-independent left of center sources that are relatively good. Then you put in what they're chiming in, and this is like Tiamat. This is not coherent. Like, this is not coming across like coherent policy. This is what's Throthgar Tyrannicon, the Tyrannicon channel. He has a great, was it cohesive unit is what he calls it. It's super funny. And so he would say, like, he'll always say, when you have a game that you assemble a team, and the team, like, will fight and team turn, they all turns and stuff like that. And you'll look at the unit cohesion, and it's just the way he says it. Is the whole point. It's like, but that's the whole point with, like, with game streamers, is that the dude says stuff that's funny in a way that just you can't, there's no way of explaining it, because it's funny. That's the point. And so there's no unit cohesion with the senior Democrats, the elder Democrats. Dang, there ain't nobody out here. It's like, it's just too fucking cold. Like, this is, even with this, even with my parka on, I'm like, whoo, I have long johns on too. Love this. Oh, I love it. I feel like a cat. Um, so there's nobody who's making the Biden administration's policies make sense. It's as if you just have a whole bunch of different groups of people, who, oh, this is Kamala's people, these are Biden's people, these are Jill's people, these are, this person's, and that they're not all on the same page. They don't all like each other. They did, and of course these are probably all people who, because of the ideological nature, because the left of center, and the more you get to the left of center, the more you're dealing with a world of theories and ideals. So you're dealing really, at a certain point, with very unrealistic, the people who are being unrealistic. And that's, yeah. So the other thing I was thinking about was Republicans and the right in general now has to confront that the left of center, the Democrats and progressives and such, that there's no more argument that they really are sort of like that there's something real about what's going on with them, that they preserve the idea of government primarily providing you safety, that they don't think that they don't believe in the concept that you have a right to safety. That now this is almost everybody, even remotely left of center, is saying that if you're a white person and you think that government is supposed to offer you a promise of safety, that's some kind of privilege. The term they're trying to really use from the real language of English is liberty. In the concept of you are a citizen of the Republic, so you therefore have liberties granted to you from like the Roman Senate, rather than the American Republic, that you have rights and you have liberties. And so that's a constant of this kind of idea of that type of republic, where if it was just like the Roman Republic, everyone would then have liberties we could hand out and take away at will. This is very similar to really the system of rights that the EU has. That it's obvious now that the EU, people in the EU don't really have inalienable rights like Americans do. And one of the key reasons why is because they've given away their capacity to actually keep their inalienable rights. So now they have privileges or liberties when they're granted by Brussels. And they could be taken away at any time. And it's been made obvious now. Brussels can take away their liberties at any time they want. And now everybody knows the score. It's, will they be frank and honest, and will they be realistic? Now, most Americans, a huge portion won't. They'll be childish and juvenile and want to hide their head in the sand about, I will gladly, like I have a sheep's head, I will gladly give away my rights to the authorities if there's a panic. And that's been made very clear, that the very concept of rights is almost an idea wasted on most women, whether educated or not. They don't really get the idea of negative rights. And even if they did, would it matter to them? Does it really matter? Does negative rights really matter to them? That the government can't do things to them? Because they keep showing through the ballot box they don't really care about that. But now, so now that's the thing, is also for the MGTOW has been completely, COVID has completely vindicated the world of MGTOW. That the MGTOW men have completely been proven out within less than a decade. that as soon as you start getting the boys out of college, the men who will be left in college will prove out the sexual market value, the sexual marketplace, where you have these articles about women who are upset because men, there's these guys who are just breaking all the hoses' backs in college because the hoes want to only fuck about 20% of any group of men. So Brie Foltz, or not Brie Foltz, what's his face's, I can't believe I'm forgetting the 20% rule. I know somebody's going to know it and put it in the comments, but that 20% law, that like 20% of a group is doing 80% of the work, or or doing what fundamentally making that without them 80% of 80% of the effort would be wasted or something like that. It's but so that all of this is the right is being vindicated by reality. And more and more and more stuff about COVID is also just the raw data is starting to show that people who are right of center, and then of course all of these people who are paramedics and nurses, which that really did it. This is one I want to make sure I say out loud. I foresaw that. I foresaw the paramedics and the nurses not going for it. I foresaw that. That one was like not obvious, but I had a feeling. I'm like, everything changes if the paramedics and the nurses say no. Then it all changes. And so it was that with that part of all of this really has been kind of the neat part of it, is to be like, yeah, I knew I was right. I knew there was more than ample reason you should not trust this new type of medicine unless you absolutely had to stay out of the hospital. That's weird. I wonder if that's a homeless person playing the, yeah, that's a homeless person first thing in the morning, banging on the kids' play structure. I bet the neighbors are like, yay, fucking yay, bro. That's why we bought this house in this beautiful part of rural Oregon, so that we could have lunatics on fucking goofballs playing the fucking park bench in the first thing in the morning. Oh my god, dude. So yeah, the story goes on here in Northwest, of course. But yeah, I wanted to make sure to bring that up, that I called that the nurses and the paramedics at a certain point, the police unions were going to be like, oh, fuck you. We don't have to take that shit. And we're not taking that shit. Fuck you. And now the whole mandate thing is falling apart. Major corporations can't justify it. And they're really, I'm betting there's some of them that are like, that there's like people in their boardrooms who are like, yeah, this is, not only is this a bad idea, but, well, I'll quit, like, and the fact that then there's that, the whole part of the everybody quitting their job part of it, that's, another, like, I mean, like, that's, like, I watch certain people, okay, this was another thing that came up in my mind. One, shout out to I think it's ReVenture Consulting. ReVenture Consulting called it. They looked at the data and they called it. The Eugene housing market has started its cool. There is a house I walk by. They have had to start doing all the stuff on it to spruce it up so that they could put it on the market. But this was one of these that they put it on the market. They just threw it onto the market. At a certain point, it wasn't occupied anymore. They cleaned it up a bit, threw it on the market. And the way, when you looked at it, you could tell what you were seeing. You're seeing something that was rented to undergrads. And it was not a bad house, but it was just nothing special as a house. And so now they're having to do something to spruce the house up. And this is a property that, like, I could tell they didn't care if the people even kept the house. You could see it. You could tell what was going on. It was like a lot of the properties in the neighborhood, it was enough square footage to put a small building on, which everybody else on that corner has. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, this building should have sold. This house should have sold already. Period. It should have sold. It hasn't sold, and at the exact time that it went on the market, and since it has not sold, that was ReVenture's call that the Eugene market was cooling, and I think that they are correct. So I think that the call that Summit Northwest is making, that he believes people are going to go back to the office. I think his call is not going to be as good. I don't think he's going to get that outcome like he wants. Yeah, and I mean, he's seen a lot. He has a lot of experience. He knows what he's talking about. But I don't think I don't think it's going to happen. I think that really that you're going to see some returning to the office, but it's just simply there's too many people that they have no interest. They have no interest in returning to the office until they are really probably assured they won't have to take the prick. That's it. And that really, I think a lot of people get this, that we're trying to talk around it. But it's like, oh well, Stephanie in bills received or payments received, she's really concerned because she's got to go on. She's going on vacation and she's going to take a COVID test, but she's not really sure if everybody's, blah, 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 blah. And this is going to keep going. There's always going to be a fat shit who doesn't take care of herself or himself and expects everybody else to have taken the prick or whatever, and that everybody else is going to have to deal with it. It's going to be incumbent on everybody else being vaccinated because this person doesn't understand the nature of viral pathology in any way, shape, or form. That's another thing that really, that's been kind of a truly amazing display. People who are college educated people who don't understand the most fundamental aspects of how viruses work, how the human immune system works, that they just don't get it. And I've had conversations with people that, just simply the level of kind of their social class, the level of their education, they should know better than to think that there's some reason for everyone to be vaccinated. They should be seeing through that they're just being sold a lot of jargon with spiked proteins and blah, blah, blah. Oh, the spiked proteins, the shedding of the spiked proteins. And they should be seeing through this, that they're just being sold a bunch of jargon. And that it's like, no, what's the hospitalization rate? What's the death rate? What are the groups that this strikes? Why does it therefore strike them? You look for the patterns. You observe the patterns, and so and because of that, because we have gotten now to see. There's a huge portion of the educated American populace that it's like, it obviously doesn't matter that you're educated. It just doesn't matter. That doesn't mean anything. They've proven that this idea, oh, but I'm educated, it doesn't mean anything. That doesn't determine that they make even rational choices. That you could provide them data and evidence, and it still wouldn't matter. It would never matter. That, and then also that one of the things with the idea of conservatives being guided on principle, the very idea of the principle here is, this is how your immune system works. COVID isn't something that defies the way the immune system itself works. What are you not getting? The immune system still functions. This isn't an autoimmune disorder. This isn't, what the hell? And so now we've gotten this idea. No, there's millions of people that education hasn't meant anything. And I know there's this is something that has come up before. It might have been a Stefan Molyneux thing, honestly. That's brilliant. This, lights on the shoes, that's brilliant. That I hadn't thought of. That's an ingenious idea. There's lights on the shoes. So as you're walking at night, or you'll, that's brilliant. Okay. Anyway, I'm like looking. I'm like, that's ingenious. Little flashlights that are on your laces. But how incredibly rational. But that's we're there. We're at the stage that the truly the division in society that's occurring, that now we're really getting to see kind of this brilliant way that it's showing itself, and that it's showing so much, it's revealing so much. This idea no, really, there's a whole bunch of people that they went to school for all of these years, and it doesn't matter. They simply cannot they cannot grasp that there's rules for how viruses behave, that it's definitive of a virus. They can't understand the concept of objective truth, that this is definitively what it is. And they can't do that. That as soon as that it really is, that it's not just that Rachel Maddow says this or that. It's that if Rachel Maddow's wrong, then Trump wasn't a retard. And in fact, actually, said liberal might be the retard in the room. I think they kind of get that. I think it's really that bad. They really get if I'm not correct, that means me and all of us are fucking retards that ruined everything. That things were fine, and me and all these other people decided to ruin it all. And that makes us lowlives and retards. I think they kind of get that. That their esteem for the criminal class shows them to really be sort of, sow-mouthed, villainous plebes. Because they so love seeing destruction and are like, oh, well, somebody else will deal with the ramifications of it. It's fine. It's totally fine that happened. And that it happened. That it was just like a thing, a riot came along. We had a light case of riot. We had a light case of fiery peace. And now we don't have a grocery store. It got real near to the gas station, but this kid stopped it. He's a Nazi, but a Nazi stopped it. All right. Okay. Almost through the coffee. Gonna walk on back home. Been on for more than 20 some minutes. This was good. Got the day rolling. Oh yeah, tomorrow I rearrange the room. That's gonna be fun. I was planning it in my mind. Strategery, my friends. Later.